Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, we're drowning in news. Oh my God. Where to start? Hello. I'll start there. Hi, Suze. How are you?
I'm fine.
Sister Susan and moi. It's the 25th of April, 2023, and I was off the air for all of, an hour yesterday when I was gobsmacked by the news that Tucker Carlson had been fired. Never. That was not even in my wish list. I didn't think, it's just unbelievable. Who said there's never any good news? Huh?
That's good news.
It is good news. Then you start worrying, though, of course.
Well, then the first thing I think of is, but now where's he going to go? And right. How are we going to keep track of him? And please, right. God, he's not going to be the vice president to Trump's president.
I don't see those two egos managing that, but I could see him taking on Trump.
He might.
What if he runs for president? Oh, dear. Well, anyway.
Okay, now we're scared. Did you just hear that
Harry Belafonte
just died? Yeah.
And I was just trying to digest that, but Harry Belafonte is dead at the age of 96, 97. Boy. So there's that. And I'm a little curious about, no one is even really talking much about the fact that Biden has finally announced.
That Biden announced, right. And
nobody is, I think he might appreciate the fact that nobody's really talking about it that much because all the coverage has been ad nauseum how Democrats don't want Biden and Republicans don't want Trump. Well, I got news for both. The odds are
that's who we're getting. And whenever, when I hear people saying that, like, for example, our mother, saying he's just too old. And I said, what does that mean? You're not going to vote for him? She goes, of course not. I said, so let's all just shut up. We're gonna do what we have to do. We're gonna and then I would also like to stop and remind everybody that he's been a damn good president. And
I think so too.
And perhaps we should all stop being so ageist and clutching at our, the sky is falling pearls, and just admit the guy's doing a good job and let him keep doing it.
Well, I think he's been doing a good job as well. I do think the age thing is concerning, and I want us to stop being such a gerontocracy. But if this is what is, then I'm behind him wholeheartedly. He's had, if a re-election campaign is essentially a report card on a president's first 4 years,
he should get straight A's.
Yeah, well, I don't know about straight A's, but he certainly deserves a second go around. And I can't believe for a minute that this country, given a choice again between the chaos of Donald Trump and the boredom of Biden, that we wouldn't choose the boredom. I really don't worry about that. I'm more concerned about potential third-party spoilers, and I don't know. In fact,
I'm concerned about that we've got too many other places where Republicans are winning. We've got to keep some control. We have to remember what we're about. We have to continue the job, or everybody but white Christian men are going to be quickly second-class, third-class, fourth-class citizens.
Well,
especially those of us that are not what they call legacy Americans, to quote Tucker Carlson.
Well, Democrats also have to stop being so focused on national politics, because where we've gotten our clocks cleaned is the fact that Republicans have seen the importance of local politics, state politics, legislatures, and I think we now got the message. Whether or not our voters have the message, I don't know. But this is a huge thing. I was reading, I don't know where I was reading it, but something about so many legislatures in the country, more than ever, being super majorities, which means that even if you have a governor of the other party and that governor exercises his or her veto power, there's enough members in the legislature of the other party to override any veto. And that creates, the situation that you had in Wisconsin, in Tennessee.
Montana.
No, Tennessee. Tennessee has a Republican governor as well. But I'm saying even when those governors, governor's veto means absolutely nothing. There are only 2 states I read today that currently have a divided legislature where Democrats control one house and Republicans the other. Do you believe that in 50 states there's only 2 now that are divided in the legislature? I find that just so unbelievable. And they are, by the way, Pennsylvania, which just joined that list by a hairbreadth, by 1 vote, managed to get control of the lower chamber, the House, while the Republicans still control the Senate. And the other is Virginia. It's just unbelievable to me. So that stuff's really important. There is so much stuff to talk about. Susan,
just a ton. No, I was.
Just for you. Len Goodman is dead too.
I know.
Oh, okay. For those of you who don't know who the hell Len Goodman is, he was a judge on a show that Susan.
He was a Cockney dancer who became a judge on Strictly Come Dancing in England, which was brought over to here as Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
And he died at 78. He was young. Well, I like it more than I like the 90s. I just want to say, no, 78 is not young. I hate to tell you. It's not young. Not. Well, it is if your almost 101-year-old mother is sitting in the other room. I know, but it's not in reality. I mean, that is just not. And yeah. I'm so, people saying, oh, 90s the new 70 or something. Well, I don't know. That's not true, and I am so sick and tired of people who are in their 90s, let's say, and are in incredible good health, being, put up in front of the rest of us mere mortals as evidence of what you can be at 94, when in fact they are a special crowd in large part, and the rest of us who are not as blessed end up feeling like there's something we did wrong. It's sort of like, blaming people who die. Right. It's really all about your genetics and the length of your DNA strands and all that sort of stuff. So, and it's this worship of, we worship youth. And so we also worship old farts who appear to have retained their youth. Well, so you were looking at all these things, and I was too, and going, my God, there's just so much to talk about. And so what is it that I end up actually reading an article about today in the New York Times? Aaron Rodgers. No. I mean, no, but no. Oh, okay. The article was, why do women suddenly start sprouting long hairs out of their chins.
Where'd you see that?
It was in the New York Times.
Where?
Oh, there's a whole article on it. Yeah.
Well, you're online though, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't in the print. It wasn't. No.
I was online. It was. Or it is in the print, but God knows when. So anyway, it was just I found myself reading it and not learning anything new, but just amused that was my default because everything else was just too overwhelming.
Well, wait a minute. So why do?
Why do you? Because as women, but you see, here's my thing. Well, it's all hormonal. You know, you get just different hormonal pushes at different points in your life. But usually this happens right around menopause when you start producing, when the male hormones that women do produce start being more pronounced because their female hormones are dropping out. So that's what happens, and you can remove them any way you want, although tweezing and electrolysis and waxing may, in fact, reduce their return because they damage occasionally the follicle.
I'm a plucker.
And it will not, no matter which method you choose, including shaving, it will not grow back darker or thicker. That's just a myth.
Oh my God! You pluck, it'll get worse. No, it doesn't.
No, if you pluck, it might, yeah.
And
overplucked eyebrows disappear.
Yeah, you just gotta, let it. I just had one, and it was right on like my lower chin. And when I first discovered it, I was appalled because it was like, I don't know, it was like a half an inch. And I thought, why the hell didn't somebody tell me about this? And then I got rid of it, but I kept my eye out. And then it would start poking, it was coming through again, and I would just, get it. And eventually I did destroy that follicle because that one stopped. But it was just recently that another one, and that one took me a while to get to know its location so I could remain ever vigilant. But you got to wonder, you got to wonder. You don't want some big, what I first thought when I first had my first chin whisker is that rhyme, that nursery rhyme, not by the hair on my chinny chin chin. And I thought, I got me one now. Whoa.
That's what that means.
Yeah, totally disconcerting. I find it, cruel that at the very point in life when you want to be vigilant about things like chin whiskers,
you can't see them.
You can't see them. Your vision is going. And the very time when, if you're wearing lipstick, it ends up on, for some reason, on your teeth. You don't know. All this stuff. Your nasal hair, don't get me started. You don't know. And nobody tells you. And I used to have a lot of old lady friends, and I would sometimes be appalled at like nasal hair and stuff. And and wondering, do you say something? I think you do, don't you?
Well, it depends on who it is. I'm just sitting here amused because your brain just did exactly what mine did, which is, there's so much stuff there. Let's take this and run.
Yeah, but we really shouldn't, I don't think. Okay, guys, we'll stop. No more. Okay, we'll get off the nasal hair and back to all of this friggin' news we didn't even mention. And we'll get back more to Tucker because he's the
plum.
It's unbelievable. It is just unbelievable. But we haven't mentioned no sooner were you getting your head around that he was gone than
that Don Lemon was canned.
CNN, knocked him out. And I want to say in both cases, the networks were. I mean, the fact that Carlson was not allowed
to even say goodbye.
No, so that's very telling. It really is. That's like, get the hell out of here, and they wouldn't trust him. They wouldn't let him on air. That often happens in television.
Well, it turns out that Rupert figured out that Tucker might have made him $750 million, but he also cost him $750 million.
Well, but that had been a calculation that was, I think it's more complicated that why they finally kicked him out. He was not the major player in the Fox on air personalities that were in the sights of the Dominion lawyers. I think there were 20 specific shows that they were focused on, and only one was Tucker Carlson. So it's a little more buildup of this, that, and the other thing. What I have been seeing a lot of is this upcoming case. Yeah. From the producer who had been Bartiromo's
and has a bunch of recordings.
And then and she's got apparently some really damaging stuff that's going to cost them money. And Tucker is central to that. He was not liked at Fox. I mean, people hated his guts as well as you tend to hate the person who's like high and mighty and he who cannot be touched, you think. So you can only imagine if you were stunned when you heard he was axed, what the reaction was at Fox itself. The employees must have been just stunned, which is the word that Don Lemon used. I learned of his because I guess I follow him on Twitter, and he tweeted that he'd been fired.
Right.
I'm gonna find it here, and he said that I've been terminated by CNN. I am stunned. After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly. He was informed by his agent. Now, CNN says that's not true, that they had asked if he wanted to come in, who the hell knows. And he worked yesterday. I mean, he did that morning show yesterday and then must have found out about it and not realizing it there again that was his last show. He, meanwhile, just so you know, this is an acrimonious leave taking. He has retained a well-known Hollywood attorney to handle his exit because he's under contract to CNN. So they're going to have to pay a big bundle to him as well.
It depends. It depends. You know,
if he didn't do anything.
Oh, they'll claim cause. They'll claim his on-air comments, his misogynistic comments, his treatment of the women on the set. I mean, that's been the issue all along.
I don't know if it's that. He made one comment that was obviously outrageous, and I think I liked him. I think his placement. That they're taking his show away from him, his primetime show, which is where he belonged. He's a provocateur. He's meant for that. He's not someone you put in the morning for, sort of lighter talk.
No, they placed him to fail.
They put him there to get rid of him. I think you don't put Don Lemon on with two women. And supposed to be like, happy-go-lucky in the morning folks. So it was, I would think he's going to have a very comfortable package coming out, but I don't know. I think CNN is in big trouble. I think the moves they seem to be making seem all wrong to me. I just don't understand what they're doing. I rarely watch anymore.
Right.
I just don't go to them. I don't want to. I don't like anybody they got left. And I don't, well, that's not quite true, but I just don't. And the thing is that the people who have taken over there have actually said they don't care about ratings. Now that is bizarre because that's the name of the game. They're saying we'll lose money rather than become, they want to do this sort of milk toasty moderate thing. They think that Fox on the one side, MSNBC on the other, and they see that as a position.
Their niche, right?
It's stupid because that's not where the audience is for cable. That's just not where they are. I mean, you don't make everything milk toasty. It's not like people are going to start seeing CNN as a neutral source. I don't think so. They're trying to go back to where, if anything happened in the world, you tuned into CNN. That's so long gone. I don't know. I'm glad I ain't running any of these places. God almighty.
Well, it's hard. It's because the way people access news, what they choose to believe. I mean, it used to be there was truth and there was not truth, and most people could tell the difference. Now that's gone. I mean, the interesting thing to me about the Dominion lawsuit was that the people that you would want to say, see, they've had to admit they were lying to you. See, they didn't believe it themselves. Those people think this is what they're lying about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just can't be convinced. They're too invested in the lie. And that's why it's a cult.
I'm sorry, Susan. I was reading something and didn't really hear what you said.
Never mind. I said the right is more of a cult because it chooses its truth.
Yeah.
And believes in it blindly. And even when you show them that the truth that they choose to believe is a lie, an admitted lie, they think admitting the lie is the lie. That's what I said.
Right. Well, I'm that whole the fact that the inmates are running the asylum over at Fox, the fear that Fox has of their, but see, losing, what I don't get is that Carlson was their biggest ratings getter. He was head and shoulders over anybody else of their on-air personalities.
Right, so
where are you going to go? What was the fear? The fear that drove the big lie reporting was that their audience would decamp to one of the more even right-winger, platforms. So, I mean, by letting Carlson go, he could go over to whatever one of those god-awful things is and take Fox's audience with him.
Yeah, I think he'll just why would he do anything except get rid of the middleman and start raising money a la Trump and Alex, whatever his name is?
Well, and that's what he can do.
Yeah.
I mean, he has money and power. And as somebody said, I mean, I'm sure Pravda would hire him in a minute. The Russians love him. And as a matter of fact, I think Russian news, RN News, that operates here in the United States, but is state-backed by the Russians, they did tweet something like, hey, we're here. They love him. So, I don't know. Here's the good news. Fox is in turmoil. Here's the good news. Rupert Murdoch is not happy.
Yeah.
Here's the good news. Rupert Murdoch is increasingly concerned about all the crap that's in his future. including the next big Dominion-like case against him. What is it, Smartmatic or something?
Yeah.
And
and they go in with the Dominion findings of fact in their pocket.
All of that. So, yeah. And who knows what this Abby Grossberg is hiding, that she's going to be putting out into the public sphere. It's too much to hope that all of this could actually take Fox down. I think it's too much to hope, but the fact that they've been damaged.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is the end of who gets tossed out, because I would think, given the Dominion suit, you might see others like Bartiromo go, and like some of the others that cost them a lot of money. So even for the Murdochs, that seemed like a lot of money. Geez. So, and the thing about, I don't know if you guys remember Tucker back in the day, but I've hated him for so many years. And that's before he became the fascist, racist horror that he is. He was just a bow tie wearing twit in a blue blazer on CNN. And he worked at CNN for years and was like, preppy conservative type, but not outlandish. I think he was one of the hosts of Crossfire after a bit. And then he gets canned at CNN. And where does he go? And this will show you how far we've come. He was at MSNBC.
Yeah, he was.
And he didn't last long there, but it shows you that this positioning of these networks, as we now think of them, is relatively new. MSNBC tossed the twit out, and he lands at Fox in not a particularly important position, but quickly rose there. And it was, what's his name, O'Reilly's firing that opened up that slot, and in he went. And O'Reilly had been the king. That's where the king always seems to sit. That's the plum show at Fox. And who goes there next is can't imagine. But to think it won't be somebody awful is delusional.
Well, right.
It's going to be. It'll be somebody awful. That's the business model.
Well, I'm hoping, Rupert, let's hope that he's in trouble on a lot of fronts. The fact that, excuse me for bringing up his name, but, Harry, along with Elton John and a bunch of other people, are also suing the Rupert publications in England. I mean, let's just hope they bring them all down. It's because everything they do is reprehensible. And it is all lies. I mean, they have made billions by offering lies to people. And
it's not, Susan, and the lies, let's be clear again. The Fox News has been, as we now worry about the survival of our democracy, the undermining of our institutions, our democracy, our trust in media and all that has totally been almost completely the result of Fox News and other right-wing outlets. I have always maintained that if I were to draw up a list of like the 10 worst humans who have destroyed American democracy, Roger Ailes would be in the top 5.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
He was the mastermind. And then, look at how did Ailes goes down? Because he was a serial sexual abuser. All his top guys, it is the most horrifically misogynistic workplace, I would imagine, in the media landscape. O'Reilly, same thing. We hear about what Grossberg is saying in her
about Tucker Carlson, the same thing,
and the whole, So and the fact that, just the way they're women, and they change the way women on television are expected to dress, which drives me insane. This idea that women are often sleeveless.
Oh, they should be in cocktail dresses. Yes.
Yeah, short skirts and revealing somehow even sexy, right? What would have been nightwear, right? Cocktail wear. And they have to, have a certain. I mean, that's Fox that ratcheted that craziness up, and the other networks fell in line because the audience became used to thinking that not only were you supposed to get some information from these people on the tube, but you were supposed to be, lust after them in some manner. I mean, that was always sort of part of the picture, but not as bad. Milton writes, Milton writes, CNN's fortunes were doomed the moment they hired Chris Licht as CEO. He sure seems to be trying to run CNN absolutely down the drain. Milton goes on, at least his predecessor Zucker, I'm not sure how he pronounces it, what a son of a bitch that guy is, had shown some success in the news business. But everywhere Licht has been was worse off after his departure than before he arrived. The stories of his incompetence, especially during his tenure at MSNBC, are hilarious and numerous. Well, how does a guy like that get hired? I mean, it's just unbelievable. We have a call, by the way. Hello.
Hi, Lynn. This is Beth calling.
Hi, Beth.
First of all, I have to say, and Susan, don't hate me, my favorite studio to work for was 20th Century Fox when Murdoch owned it.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, that he hated it, but as long as it made money for him and he could go to the award shows, but he let people just run the studio, and that's where you had a lot of creative people migrate to. Now, is all the money that he received from Disney with the purchase of that studio probably now going to a lot of other places? Yeah, it is, and justifiably so. I was kind of shocked, Lynn, when this whole thing, and just reading about it also, just besides in the trades and everything else, I thought they were going to let some, like Tucker, get called on the stand, just so it made his termination possibly easier. That's what and getting rid of some of their dead, some of that talent group. Because I think the O'Reilly thing showed them one thing. As long as we put a white guy in that spot, no matter who we put in there, we're going to bolster them, and we're going to make money at that spot. And they're going to start, I'm sure, probably a slow leak disinformation campaign. I think saw a little bit of today how they released Carlson's texts that were one of the things about how he hated Trump, that he was an idiot. So they're going to start the discredit, the campaign against him. And whatever few you have following him to whatever next outlet he goes to, I'm sure, but they'll have someone else in there. As far as CNN, I think the biggest problem there is, one, you have the Discovery networks that purchased and Warner Media.
Yeah, they're the ones who are saying,
from AOL Time Warner. And I'm not surprised.
That's the CEO. That's the CEO, Beth, who actually said, I don't know his name, it wasn't Licht who said it, I don't care about the ratings.
No,
What?
And he's destroying, I'll just tell you, Lynn, he's destroyed Warner Brothers like crazy. I mean, some of the people they've let go there, and you have a lot of long-term directors that had contracts with Warner Brothers that have said, we want out because this guy is ruining the studio and we have no creative say. And so that's just kind of what happens, unfortunately. But with Don Lemon's case, I'm going to say this. When they did the investigation with the whole Chris Como thing, there was some innuendo that Lemon was in on helping him research the stuff with his brother. They didn't get anything. He knew he was on a very thin wire, so to speak. And for you to even do the women's comment, this, that, whatever, you know they're gunning for you. They moved you from your own time slot to morning. And you had to really be careful, and he hasn't.
They were after him. They were after him. And he is a hothead, and he was pissed. And understandably. I mean, they were after him. And so he sort of the statement, like, I mean, he just self-immolated in the Haley statement.
And they couldn't get people, and they had problems booking people on his program and stuff too. I'm just saying, first of all, we need to take a collection for neither Carlson nor Don. They are going to be more than fine.
That's right. They're fine.
Oh, yeah. They'll be okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just seems the talent pool at just the lineup at CNN is just abysmal.
It really, well, again, it's kind of what that company now has done with all its media groups. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're positioning themselves to be bought out by some other fish. I have no clue. But it definitely seems like...
How could it possibly be the business model to go in and chase your audience away?
Well, I mean, chasing the audience from the TV side is one thing, but even from the other sides too. Who knows how they've drained it, what they've done. They've definitely gotten rid of a lot of their legacy costs in all their divisions.
Boy.
So I don't know what's happening so much with Discovery.
Well, it sounds like, what you're describing is sort of like a typical sort of hedge fund takeover where they go in and they pick the bones of the carcass of the company, take whatever they can out of it and destroy it. They don't care.
And then sell it.
Sell it. That's been a hedge fund. That's been one of the things that people get mad at about these takeover companies, that because people used to think there was a model that you, of course, bought something to make it succeed, but that's not necessarily the business model. I mean, I don't know if that's the case here, but it would not be unusual for that to be the business model. No, we're just
in fact, that is a business model.
That is a business model.
For the demise of all the newspapers you see going down. There are, hedge funds that buy these, the local newspaper and literally, strip it of everything. I mean, everything. And then sell it off. It's just bizarre that they don't produce a damn thing. They just destroy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a good way of doing business.
And I know when, because now it's no longer 20th Century Fox since Disney bought it. They didn't get the Fox name. Now it's just 20th Century. But the moment they went in, I mean, literally every single person was let go. Every single person. So, it doesn't matter who takes it over, but anyway, that was just my thing with the Murdochs. Though, I am sure they will be. I hate to say it, they will come out on the other side of it.
Of course, they will.
It's just what they do.
No, I mean, the only good news about Murdoch is that he's in his 90s.
Yeah, and the kids don't seem as. It is the succession.
You're right.
Yeah.
A pox on them all.
Amen.
Yeah. Hey, Beth, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Nice to hear a voice of experience, right?
Yeah. Keep your head down there. She's in West Virginia. Keep your head down. Okay. So let's see. What do I got here? Well,
they must be scared. Imagine everybody at Fox. They must all be sitting under their desks wondering who's next. because the next lawsuit is coming, and then the one after that and the one after that. I mean, it's like all these things. It's like I'm enjoying the Georgia attorney, who's just setting out. Oh, I will be dropping the charges sometime between July 11th and September 1st, and she's just letting them hear the dum 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 coming for them. She's just
Susan. Speaking of the district attorney in Atlanta, who's coming for Trump, and the thing is, it's not just she's.
She might be coming for Lindsey Graham. She could come for Rudy Giuliani.
So many of the politicians, the people, all those Georgia politicians and those outside Georgia that helped them try to
subvert their elections. She could
the elections, and she's got lots and lots and lots of info. And she's already calling. The reason she's giving a heads up, she's really calling on the security folks
to get ready.
Because there's an assumption that there will be big trouble and violence, especially if Trump does one of his, storm the barricades kinds of speeches. So, I want to just.
I find her very impressive. She is so clearly dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and keeping the pressure on them in a most astute and lovely way. It's just great.
Well, I want to note her courage because it made me think again of one of the things Tucker Carlson regularly did. Was he would name names of innocent people and set the thugs, harassers, and scary folks after them. And so there are a number of people in this country right now who've done nothing untoward, except maybe trying to do their jobs as reporters or something, that have had to move for their family safety, have had to, get burner phones, because Carlson was forever putting people's lives in danger. It's what Donald Trump does too. This is what these guys do. Understand that. If there's a feeling that nobody's safe anymore, it's because you have people in positions of authority like Tucker Carlson or the then president of the United States telling people to engage in thuggery.
Right. And not only can they, not only may they, but please go ahead. And that's why, if you accidentally let your basketball roll into the neighbor's yard, you're likely to see your 5-year-old shot because they're standing their ground, man.
Make no mistake, this too. But this is on Rupert Murdoch, in as much as he's the one who's been getting rich, allowing this kind of outrageous and dangerous. I mean, he should be hung from the highest tree we got. What an evil.
Well, but to me, the interesting thing is, watching what happened in Tennessee and the response and the outrage and the shutdown of what they did, and then to see the people in Montana just doing the same thing. I mean, they are not letting a trans, duly elected legislator speak. Every time she tries to, they just won't turn on her mic.
They're shameless.
And they're arresting anybody that tries to speak for her. I mean, it's just amazing to me. Their idea of freedom, their idea of democracy is that it's their freedom, not ours.
That is right.
Their freedom.
Absolutely.
Their freedom to make the rules, their freedom to say who's in and who's out, It's not ours, and they are not upset when they are stopped and chastened. They are not chastened. They're emboldened. They'll just do it someplace else.
Chuck writes, I'm hoping that Tucker Carlson isn't just a symbolic sacrificial lamb, because there are a half dozen others at Fox that were just as responsible, if not more so, actually, for promoting the big lie. A few more heads should roll. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity. Oh, God, Chuck writes, what if Wendy Bell gets hired? She wouldn't take Carlson's slot. Wendy Bell, Susan, is a local.
I know who she is, yeah.
Okay. And I have to admit that I did myself for a second think, oh, God, what if Wendy Bell? But she's not, I doubt she's not at that level. I don't think quite where they would give her, you can't just walk into a slot like that. That's the plum slot. But if they're throwing people out left, right, and center, I can see her ascending perhaps to Fox, which is what she's been working so hard to do. Oh, yeah, Barbara sent me this, which I also saw. Rupert Murdoch's monopoly on media in Australia. That's where he started. He monopolized, absolutely. If you're in Australia, it's hard to avoid getting your news from something, from other than Fox. Anyway, a former prime minister, Kevin Rudd, has said that Murdoch's empire is a cancer on democracy. Yep, it sure is. We've seen it here, are seeing it here. Australia's seen it. And he says, the former prime minister there says that it chills free speech and undermines public debate. And I guess he started a petition. The former, well, good for him. I don't know what a petition can do. Former PM is asking that the government in Australia launch a commission to ensure the strength and diversity of the nation's news media. Well,
cool.
Go for it. I mean, according to the petition, it says our democracy depends on diverse sources of reliable, accurate, and independent news. But media ownership is becoming more concentrated alongside new business models that encourage deliberately polarizing and politically manipulating news. Well, he's absolutely correct. Well, good luck. I mean, I don't know. Boy, but the damage that you can do that kind of damage and be rewarded so handsomely.
Right.
Be so
because
rich.
People can't seem to get rid of the idea that, you know, if they're reading it or they're reporting it, it's the truth. Even when
this is upsetting to me, not that it's necessarily surprising, but somebody has sent me this, that Fox's 787 plus, million settlement with Dominion, the ultimate cost to Fox is likely to be much lower. Now, what I thought, well, that's impossible. Dominion already has that in hand. That was the thing about settling. They didn't have to wait. I think what this article is saying is that Fox can get money back, not from Dominion. Dominion's getting the 785.
Right.
But it says here how much the lawsuit will actually end up costing Fox is unclear, because there are ways it can defray. Yeah, because our tax laws. It can defray some of the expense primarily through insurance and the use of tax deduction.
Right. I was wondering whether if you lose a lawsuit, you can take a loss. But it seems to me that you should not be able to benefit from your legal malfeasance.
Since the tax laws are written by
the corporations, of course you can.
Yeah, yes. I mean, it says Fox can deduct the Dominion settlement from its income taxes as an expense necessary for the cost of doing business.
But okay, that's fine. And I, as an IRS person, would say no. You cannot act in an improper way, be caught, found guilty, pay up, admit fault, and then expense it. No, you can't. That is not a business expense because your malfeasance occurs outside the normal course of business. That's what makes it malfeasance.
Robert Willens, a tax professor at Columbia University School of Business, estimates that after the tax write-offs, Fox will incur about 3/4 of the settlement amount, about $590 million. He says the key is that if the payments are being made to private parties and not at the behest of the government, then you can pretty much conclude without any fear of contradiction that the payment will be deductible. A study by the GAO in 2005 found that of 34 settlements totaling over $1 billion, 20 companies reported deducting some portion or all of their settlement payments. Big banks, such as Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, reportedly also deducted portions of their settlements of charges tied to the financial crisis of 2008.
It's just appalling.
Yeah, well, this is the corruption of our...
Because it is the corruption, because if you and I,
of course.
We couldn't be deducting it, no.
Also, listen to this. If Fox is insured, and I'm sure they are, insurance is likely to cover some.
That's true, but let me just say that insurers aren't in the business of covering their malfeasance either. And it's going to be, I don't know any insurance company that pays a thing and then reinsures you or doesn't come back to get their money back in higher fees.
Usually there's a certain amount a media company has to pay, which could be in the millions before insurance kicks in. However, the deductible includes attorney fees, which in a high-profile case like this one could be tens of millions of dollars or higher, so the deductible could be swallowed up just in attorney's fees. One wrinkle, even if an insurance company pays a substantial part of the settlement, there could be an annual aggregate limit of the liability, which could mean that insurers won't cover another big money settlement. Fox has said we don't expect significant operational effects or changes to our business, given our cash flow, our strong balance sheet, and the health of our business. So, yeah.
Good. Well, let's just do it again. Eventually it'll hurt.
The law is so corrupt.
No, there should be an outcry. You should not be allowed, and the country should not have to, eat huge corporations settlements on malfeasance. It just doesn't even make sense.
Yes, but when the corporations pretty much control enough members of the tax writing committees and Congress, this is what you get.
I think it's more about, honest to God, I think it's more about the IRS just not pursuing the cases because of the cost involved.
They don't have the resources.
And they don't have the resources. Because I stand by my legal argument. The fact that they do and get away with it doesn't mean that it's legal.
Yeah, but they got the deep pockets. IRS does not.
That's right. Well, no, they've been starved.
Not able to. And again, it's the rich.
No, they've been starved, and that's why they only went after the poor, because they can't afford the attorneys. So
that's why the Republicans are actually targeting the IRS even more for the debt limit bill. They can't starve that IRS enough. because they're not.
Did you see they wanted to take away veterans' benefits?
Veterans' benefits.
They're shameless.
The veterans. Well, just beyond belief. Hey, by the way, I want to credit Ruth for having sent us that unhappy article about Dominion being able to recoup a huge part of the 3/4 of the bill. Unbelievable. Okay, I just want to spend some time with the sad news of Harry Belafonte's passing. God, I had such a crush on him.
Well, who didn't?
So he was just amazing. And the thing, though, that really separated him from so many others is that he was always a political activist. He was a close friend of Dr. King's and an ardent supporter. He put up the seed money to help start the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee.
That's right.
SNCC. And was one of the principal funders for that and for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Dr. King's organization. So he bankrolled these civil rights organizations. He bailed out Dr. King and other activists all the time. Listen to this. He quietly maintained an insurance policy on Dr. King's life with the King family as the beneficiary. And he donated his own money to make sure that the family was taken care of after his assassination in '68. He sometimes drew criticism from Black people, including the suggestion early in his career that he owed his success to the lightness of his skin. Well, it didn't hurt.
No, the fact that he was just stunningly handsome,
and light-skinned. And then when he divorced his wife and married Julie Robinson, the only white member of Catherine Dunham's dance troupe, a lot of people got pissed. The Amsterdam News wrote, "Many Negroes are wondering why a man who has waved the flag of justice for his race should turn from a Negro wife to a white wife." But, guys, I
fell in love.
Yeah, that's the problem. You fall in love. Oh, man.
And in the end, there's no doubt he is remembered for the way he lived his life, and he is more an activist for racial justice than and should be remembered as such, and is remembered as such, than for his calypso singing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, okay. I can't read this while I'm trying to do the show, but what an amazing.
Yeah, he was really, he was the real deal. He was, as they say, a mensch.
Daylight come and I want to go.
Well, my husband and I used to sing that too. Our kids. No, it went something like this because we were trying to get our child to eat, and the chorus would go, "Will Arlie eat his breast of chicken? Daylight come and we want to go home. Or will he continue his nose picking? Daylight comes and we want to go home." And then we'd all laugh.
And then Arlie laughed. And did he eat anything?
No, he was a vegetarian for years until he started cooking.
Uh-huh.
And then I finally occurred to me as his mother that it was okay. He didn't actually have to eat meat.
Okay. Well, you know what? We are out of time. I do want to point out that, there's been, there's been the sad leave taking of Harry Belafonte, the joyous leave taking of Tucker Carlson, and the
She's not sure how to think about it, Don Lemon.
I had a third. No, and I wasn't even going to do Lemon. I had a third. What was it? Leave taking. Aaron effing Rodgers. Hey,
bye-bye.
Hey, New York, you can have him.
Yeah.
And I hope he gives you, a second.
His ego will just about fit in the Isle of Manhattan. Good luck for you. Okay.
Yeah. Bye, Aaron. Bye, Suze.
I hope he takes his brown suit with him. They won't like that there.
All right. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And okay, guys, that's it. And I'll be back tomorrow. And again, the news just keeps piling up. Batten down the hatches and buckle your seatbelts because, the tumult continues. Have a good one.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.